Josephine Gagliardi was appointed to the county bench by Governor Jeb Bush in 2006. As a county judge, she hears both civil and criminal matters. Since 2008, she has volunteered to handle cases for the Lee County Felony Adult Drug Court Program. This program assists addicts to recover, attain sobriety, and become productive members of society. In 2022, she additionally began presiding over mental health court and Veterans Court. Judge Gagliardi serves on the Florida Courts Technology Commission of the Florida Supreme Court. She is a judicial mentor, judge, and participates in court business meetings regularly. In the past, she has served on the Florida Courts Education Council, the Publications Committee, and she has been the editor of The Courier, the newsletter of the Conference of County Court Judges of Florida, as well as participating on court education programs, committees, and work groups. For the 2019-2020 term, she was the chair of the Florida Bar Rules of Judicial Administration Committee. In the year 2000, she served as the president of the Lee County Bar Association. Judge Gagliardi is very active in her community, volunteering her time with the Boy Scouts, PACE, Rotary, Calusa Inn of Court, and other legal and civic organizations. She earned her BA from the University of Pittsburgh and her Juris Doctor from Antioch School of Law. She is married and the mother of twin adult sons.
Hello, my name is Judge Josephine Gagliardi, and I'm a county court judge in Fort Myers, Lee County, Florida. Fort Myers, like most places in Florida, is a growing community. We currently have a population of about 800,000 people. And you're probably from all parts of Florida, so you know Florida's growing fast all over the place. I'm privileged today to address you, the Paralegal Association, on a topic that I chose. We were going to give you a boring topic, but I decided to choose treatment programs. Collaborative treatment programs exist all over Lee County and all around the state of Florida. You may already know about some of the treatment programs. If you do, I appreciate your patience. If you don't, I hope that you'll enjoy my speech. I volunteer for treatment courts because I'm interested in people's lives and because I care. I try every day to make a difference in these courts, and I feel very privileged to speak to you about them. We have 3 learning objectives. Number 1, identify the statutes dealing with treatment courts. Number 2, discuss the particular court. We have here veterans, mental health court, and drug court. Number 3, identify particular substance use issues and treatments. The first drug court was started in Miami, Florida, and the first mental health court started in Broward County. All around the state, these courts exist and help people change their lives. We have leadership in judges, treatment providers, law enforcement officers, etc. In Sarasota, they actually have an opioid track for users of opioids because they had such a huge 300% increase in opioid deaths. This is how the criminal legal system attempts to intervene and saves lives. So for our learning objectives, number 1, I'll talk to you about the statutes. For felony drug courts, Florida statutes 397.334, treatment court programs, and then Florida statutes 948.017A are what we're using for drug courts. So for mental health court, Florida statute section 394.47982, and again, 948 sections 8 and 16. You'll find that 948, Florida statute 948 is in all 3 of the courts because those have to do with the probationary issues. In mental health court, the Florida statute 394.47982, it's a huge one, long numbers. Veterans court, the Florida statute 394.47891. It was the T-Pat Maney Veterans Treatment Act. It authorizes Veterans Court for the purposes of addressing substance abuse and mental health needs of veterans with criminal justice system issues. Also, again, 948.08, 7A, and 948.16. So you've got the statutes 397, 394, and 948. Those are the statutes. The sections are there. You'll find them. But I just want to repeat again, 397, 394, and 948. And then the little parts are there. So there you go. You have that. I did learning objective number 1. Yay. Now we'll move on to learning objective number 2. This is really hard for me because there's no one here in this courtroom except me and the recorder. And I would love to speak to people. I would love to be at your conference, actually be there and have you ask me questions and be motivated that way. But since I can't be there, I'm on the Florida Courts Technology Commission, and we have our meeting on the day of your meeting. We're pre-recording. So sorry about that, but I hope you have a great conference, and I hope you all enjoy this talk. So in Lee County, I'll start with, we have Veterans Court. And I really like Veterans Court. It's one of the courts where we deal with people who are just veterans. And we have all service industries, Army, Navy. We have the flags in the courtroom. I'm in the courtroom and they're on the side there. You can't see them, but they're here in the courtroom. We make a big deal about Veterans Day, and we have a Veterans Day celebration. We get speakers, county commissioners to come in to talk to our veterans. The veterans, it's really hard to make sure that they stay alive. There's a huge suicide rate in the veterans, and we really try to give them all the support to make sure that they live. So we integrate alcohol and drug treatment with mental health services, and we do their case processing. Everything, all these courts are non-adversarial. We try to identify the participants early on when they get arrested and see if we can't get them into the program quickly. And we have ongoing judicial interaction with them, weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. With the veterans, we have phases, and when they move to each phase, we give them dog tags. I don't know if I can show you a dog tag. I have them here on the bench. So this is one of the dog tags, and when they phase up, I give them this little dog tag. This one says honor. And they love that. They love getting these dog tags when they phase to the next phase, and as they move up and keep succeeding in our program, we have little incentives like that. We have a wheel with a spin for, they can get 2 hours of community service towards fines and costs. They can get, we have a snack box where they can get a snack. They have leave court early, or little incentives for them. And we try to let people spin the wheel if they've done something good. It's called a fishbowl. So normally you would take something out of a fishbowl and pick it up and say, oh, I got this. But we spin the wheel and it's just the same thing. We call it the fishbowl. So those incentives are good for them. It helps them feel like they're a part of it. And it's part of my judicial interaction. I'll go through, and in all the courts, I'm going to talk to you about veterans, mental health, and drug court. In all the courts, the judge is a very integral role in these courts. So before court starts, we meet in the back room, the jury room, and we have what is called staffing. And at staffing, you have the assistant state attorney, the public defender, you have treatment providers, you have people from agencies. Everybody comes to staffing and they talk about what's going on. So we'll have a staffing sheet and we'll say, all right, Mr. So-and-so is on the docket today. How's he doing? And then we'll hear, well, he's going to his classes, he's providing his meeting sheets, he's doing what he needs to do. He's doing well. We'd like to offer a fishbowl to him. So then I'll know what to do. I'll take notes on it. When we're in court, I'll talk to Mr. So-and-so. Well, let's just use a name. Sorry if your name is Smith, but we'll just use a common name, Mr. Smith. So Mr. Smith is here today in front of me in court, and I'll say, Mr. Smith, how are you? And I use my judicial bench card, which I received from the National Association of Drug Court Professionals, and a lot of the questions come from there, but I also ask them a lot of questions because I know them. By this time, they see me every week or every other week, so they know me too. And I'll ask them questions about their lives, how they're doing, if they have something to share, or what. One of the big questions I'll ask them is, what kind of things are you doing to help maintain your sobriety? So it's really important. A lot of the, in all three programs that we have in Lee County, a lot of the people have substance use issues. And we used to say drug use, but the preferred language these days is substance use. So substance use issues. And so I'll talk to them about that. What are you doing to maintain your sobriety? And so Mr. Smith might say to me, well, I am talking to my sponsor. I'm using the phone, calling my sponsor. I am reading the Bible. I am attending meetings. I am really working hard. I am playing it forward. So what that means is they'll think about the issue, say something's in their mind, and they say, oh, I really want to go out and use. They play it forward. If they do go use, then it'll lead to this or lead to that and lead to that. And I'm going to tell you, I've been on the bench as a judge for 17 years. And of those 17 years, 15 years, I've done treatment courts. And I've seen a lot of things happen, a lot of people come and go. But I'll tell you, it's never more exciting and fun than to see a criminal defendant in the CVS or the Walmart, and they come up to you and they say, Judge G, how are you? You know, whatever. And I say, oh, hey, how are you? Sometimes I get scared. I think, well, did I do something bad to them, or are they one of my program people? I don't know, because there's so many people that have come through my life. It's hard to remember everybody, but sometimes I remember, and I'll say, oh yeah, what's your name? And they tell me, and then oh yeah, how are you? What's doing? How are you doing? And they'll tell me they've been doing great. They've been sober. Their lives have changed, and it's really, really rewarding to hear these things for them. And sometimes they change, because a lot of times when they're really using, they're very, very thin, and now they're filled out, and they're normal and sober. And so it's very pleasant. I also saw one time in the CVS, one of my people who had graduated from the program, and then he told me that he looked terrible. And I said, hey, you look terrible. And he said that he relapsed, and it only took him 24 hours to lose everything. What do I mean by that? I mean, he lost his car, his apartment, everything. He used, so when he went on a binge, he lost everything in 24 hours. That's how quickly his life went downhill. He says he's back on track and he's doing better, but it is a huge problem. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about substance use. It's a huge problem in people's lives. And And it's not one that, well, hopefully you don't see it very often, but if you do, you want to help people become sober. So some of the things that we'll talk to them about, new activities or things that they've changed in their lives. In these courts, all three of them, we always talk to them about changing people, places, and things. They need to change the people that they hang around with. They need to stop going to places that can trigger them or start them thinking about using drugs and things that make them, that trigger them to use. And so some people, this is pretty terrible, but they have used so much in bathrooms. So gas station bathrooms is a trigger for a lot of people. But if they go in a gas station bathroom, it's very, it's a trigger. You wouldn't think that, but that is a trigger for some people. So, and then we try to tell them to stay away from that and help them through those programs. We talk to them about their challenges. We try to support them. We try to give them community groups that can help them. In the veterans program, there's a lot of community groups that help them, and we try to get them to go. With the advent of COVID, we have a lot of programs that are online. There was always in any community where you live, I can tell you right now, you might not know it, but there are Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, any kind of 12-step meeting that you want, there are in the community. But now it's even better because they have 12-step meetings on your phone, and it's called In the Rooms, and people go to these meetings on their phone, or they actually go. We accept them going on their phone. We accept them going in person. Whatever is the best for them. We want them to become clean and sober. We want them to stay clean and sober. So we try to get them to go to meetings, try to get the help that they need, because these meetings really do provide them the support that they need. And I'm wasn't happy about COVID, but I was happy that the In the Rooms came online and that people can go. You can go to a meeting anywhere in the world, any time of the day. So that's great for the people that need it. We asked them questions about, what did they do to maintain sobriety this week? How did you stay sober? And for some people, they get religion. Some people, they really start to feel religious, and I don't care. Whatever they do is great with me. I'm happy if that's the way they got it. They describe how they do and how well they're doing. So one of the most important things when in any of these programs, I'm talking about veterans right now, but I'm talking about all three programs really at the same time, because the issues that are in the veterans, mental health and drug court are all the same. They have to be honest. They have to give up the use and give up the dependence on these substances and be honest about what's going on with their lives. And I have a big sign. I made a big sign in my courtroom that says honesty. And I always put that out there for the people to use. And lately, I've been asking them if they can put their hand in the Boca della Verità. I don't know if you've been to Rome, Italy, but in Rome, there's a stone statue, and it's I don't know if you could see this. That's probably not going through, but the Boca della Verità is where you put your hand into the mouth of this mask in Rome, Italy. And the old saying is that if you're lying, that your hand would be bitten off by the monster there. But if you ever go to Rome, put your hand in the Boca della Verità. And I put this on the bench and I asked them, can you talk to the Boca della Verità? Can you tell the truth? It's real important for them to speak the truth. And I try to make court interesting. I try to bring out ways for them to talk to me in a non adversarial way. You know, my interaction with them is important to them. When we do, after the court session is over with someone and they graduate from these programs, we do ask them in a questionnaire what they thought was good, what they thought was bad. They do like the interaction with the judge, and it's actually one of the things that have in the national programs, they agree that the importance of having a judge there, a regular judge sitting there. So that's me. I'll ask the people about their hobbies or their activities or the kind of work they're doing. A lot of our people work in the food industry. And so for me, that means I can't go to this restaurant, that restaurant, this restaurant. I don't go to any of the places where my people work. Not that I don't like them or don't want to be there, but I'm prohibited from being there with them. So, but it's okay with me because I don't want to make them feel bad at their work. I want them to be free and without anxiety. So a lot of times we'll ask them where they work, and then we say, oh, can't go to that restaurant. But a lot of my people work at places like Dunkin' Donuts. And so then to get them starting talking to me, because it's real important that they have a relationship with me and that we talk to each other. I'll ask them, well, what's the donut this week? Or what's this week? And they'll tell me things like that. And it makes them a little bit more fun, makes them a little bit more relaxed, makes them able to respond to questions. And then we get to the tough questions. And, I ask them about what they do for relapse prevention, and how they're making sure that they don't relapse. Near the end of the program, we talk to them about what kind of support systems they have set up, what they're going to do if they found themselves wanting to get high. We used to have one of these counselors who was an excellent counselor, and she would always, I'd make her give a speech every time somebody was graduating, and they'd say, now that you're graduating, I want to remind you, that you still have triggers even though you've made it through the program. And one of the things that you can do is have something that's your favorite. So she used to talk about what you should have in your refrigerator. So if there's some regular food that if you had a trigger where you wanted to go use drugs or alcohol, and you had some kind of particular ice cream or something in your refrigerator that you knew that you could go to just give you a break, and to give your brain a break from thinking about that, using to take the time to eat maybe this chocolate chip ice cream, and then the thoughts of using would subside, and you would able to maintain your sobriety, because maintaining the sobriety is a really, really important thing. So you try to give them tricks to keep their brains from going back. Sometimes it happens, people do relapse, but you've given them a lot of tools, and hopefully they use these tools and are able to make it. A lot of times I'll ask them what's their biggest challenge to going out there, and I'll give them a scenario that's, what if this happens, or what if that happens, and like a doomsday scenario, and they respond to me, they're going to do this, they're going to call their friend, they're going to do this. They have it in mind. To have them go over how they're going to prevent a relapse is really, really important. And that's part of their graduation, and they make it. We have ceremonies for them for graduating. We'll take pictures with the judge. We try to make it fun. Our coordinator, specialty court coordinator, Bridget Washburn here in this county, is fabulous. She, but don't tell her I said so. She will get balloons for people, and I always have this huge fear that these balloons will fly into the courtroom, and then I'll be stuck by court facilities. Why did you let a balloon come into the courtroom? And I'll be, please don't kill me. You know, we judges, we have fears as well. So, but she'll get balloons for people and get little gift bags for them. And the people are really happy to have that and really happy to be celebrated that they've made it through the program. A lot of them say, you know, this is the first time I've made it through something. And it's so wonderful to hear. So we will always support them. In the veterans program, we're going to have a Veterans Day celebration. Recently, we've got a county commissioner coming November 7 here in this courtroom, and they're going to talk and we'll have music, food, cake. We make it a celebration. I also volunteer for when they have a veterans stand down. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's when they give all the veterans benefits, and I go and I help, and if they have problems with their driver's license, I'll see if there's some way that we can help them get some points off to get their driver's license. And we work really hard to help them become mobile, become employed, become clean and sober. We try, you know, there's so many aspects about this that really require a lot of help. I volunteer and I go to Expo for a job expo at Florida Gulf Coast University and try to help them with that. Anytime we can do something for them, we do it. The services that we give them aren't just for us. We also have the Veterans Administration. They give them service. And then the veterans have a really cool thing. They have mentors. So people who are also veterans sign up to be mentors. We have mentors here who are other people in the community who help them and get things done. I'll give you a story of one of our Veterans Court people. I'll call her Miss Jones, another common name. Sorry if your name is Jones. But Miss Jones had 4 DUIs. She was a veteran. I think she was in the Army. And Miss Jones made it through the program, but Miss Jones didn't have a driver's license. The veterans, the mentors, helped her get an electric bicycle so she could ride her bike to work and to make a living and to keep going. She did graduate from the program. She did well. But in her case, I think that if the mentors weren't there to help her with these extra things, she could have been stuck. And I'm so grateful for the veteran mentors that we have. So the Veteran Mentor Program is fabulous. And again, we get people from the community. We go to the VFW posts and we talk to them and see if they could send us somebody who'd be interested. And people have signed up, and I think we have, well, we're not as good as Collier County. Collier County has a couple mentors for each person they have in their program, but we have some and we're coming along. So, well, let's, I think I've talked enough about Veterans Court. I'm going to move on to Mental Health Court. And in Mental Health Court, to be eligible for our Mental Health Court program, you have to be 18 years old. You have to voluntarily agree to the program. You've committed a misdemeanor or a felony, and you have medical records to substantiate a diagnosis for more than 6 months. And there's usually a nexus between your mental illness and the criminal offense. And then you can't pose a danger to the staff or the community. And some of the diagnoses are psychotic disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar disease, major depressive disorders. So in the mental health program, you have people, I don't know if the news media in your area shows this, but one of the mental health persons that I had in this group was the guy that went into the pet store and stole a pet, you know, from the pet store. He did well in the program and he graduated. I had another guy who started a fire and he did well and he graduated. I had a woman who came upon her husband or paramour in another relationship, and she had a gun. She didn't shoot him, she didn't do anything, she just had a gun and was outraged and whatever. Anyway, she had a breakdown, and she did well. She overcame the program. But you know, these people have situations that make them anxious or have some kind of breakdown, and they're struggling, and the systems allow them to be involved in the court. And if they do well, I mean, a lot of them don't have criminal records, then the case can, if they finish the program, some of them are able to withdraw their plea and have the charges dropped. So it's a really great thing. Again, the mental health people have to attend court regularly, and the judge talks to them regularly. They have to, you know, progress through their goals, and they have to refrain from illegal activity. And then if they have probation conditions, they have to do that. Some of them have to go to classes, anger management classes or something like that. So, but they meet with me regularly. I'm going to tell you that that is one of the hardest courts that I have, because these people are really, like, I'll be in staffing and we're in the meeting and I'll be like, oh, this person, I'm going to have to yell at them. Oh no, judge, please don't yell at her. Please, please. She'll start to cry and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. So on staffing, they always tell me what to do. But sometimes people do stuff and you want to say, you missed the meeting, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And you want to be harsh with them, but you can't. They are really delicate people, some of them. And, so it is hard. It is very hard to have these people come in and make sure that they stay on track and that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I do use a lot of community resources for our people in the mental health court. And a lot of them are on medications and things. So we have to be very, very careful and very sensitive to their issues. Again, it's one of the hardest courts that I do, and I don't know, I'll say that it's hard. Another court, I think I'll stop with mental health court because then I don't have to get too anxious. So finally, I'll talk about drug court, and we have Lee County Felony Adult Drug Court. In our drug court program, we have been in existence. We have, in all of our court programs, we have a participant handbook, which they're supposed to read and understand all the rules. And then we also have our policies and procedures handbooks. These are things that we put together. And in these courts, in all the courts, we try to use the 10 key components that are from the national organizations. You know, I'll just go through them and I'm going to read. So pause, sorry. Drug courts integrate alcohol and other drug treatment services with justice system case processing. Using non-adversarial approach, prosecution and defense counsel promote public safety while protecting participants' due process rights. Eligible participants are identified early and promptly placed in drug court. Drug courts provide access to a continuum of alcohol, drug, and other treatment-related rehabilitation services. Frequent alcohol and other drug testing, monitor abstinence. Coordinated strategy governs drug court responses to participants' compliance. Ongoing judicial interaction with each drug court participant is essential. Monitoring and evaluation measure the achievement of the program goals and gauge effectiveness. Continuing interdisciplinary education promotes effective drug court planning, implementation, and operations, and forging partnerships among drug court, public agencies, community-based organizations, and local support, enhancing the drug court program. So those are our 10 key components. Those are in all the cases. In all the types of courts, you try to have key components. But you know, the goal in the drug court is to get these people off of drugs. Some of them you'll have in a graduation, or maybe we used to evaluate people before their graduation and have a conference with them and talk to them. And one of the things I'd say is, tell me your story. And then they'd start with their story. And then they'd say, well, I started using drugs when I was 8 years old. My dad and my mom were this and that. And you know, you hear these stories of these people starting using alcohol or drugs at 8 years old or 10 years old or really, really young. And you're thinking to yourself, wow. And they've had lifetimes of drug use. And so for them to maintain sobriety and become clean and sober, it's really a great thing. In drug courts, you know, that's the court where I've had, in veterans court, you have suicides. In drug court, you have overdoses. Mental health court, well, people, I don't know. But bottom line, we have these rules. Participants read the rules and they decide if they're going to be involved. In all these courts, we have phases. And we tell them, you know, they're not allowed to use medical marijuana, even if they have a medical marijuana card. They're supposed to just follow all the rules and always tell us always be truthful. And if they use, and sometimes they do, they need to say, you know, what happened. I had a use with alcohol, or I had something happen. And if they are honest with us, we will let them get more treatment and get through the program. You know, most of the people are very respectful and they follow all of our instructions and obey the laws, but sometimes people get new law violations and things happen to them. So we have in all the courts, veterans, mental health, and drug, we have phases. In our drug court, we have phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In phase 1, that's their first phase. They're in there for 30 days. They have to have abstinence, and we have home checks. We have curfews. They have to seek employment, and they have weekly court appearances. In phase 2, it's 90 days. Again, abstinence, home checks, follow instructions. They come bi-weekly to court. They have probation. They have curfew. In phase 3, it's 90 days in there, and they have alcohol checks, probation checks, again, curfews, and follow the rules. In phase 4, it's 90 days, all the same things that they need. In phase 5, it's 60 days, and phase 6 is 180 days. And they have to have sobriety for that time and follow all the rules. They usually, before they phase, they fill out an application and they give us an essay and tell us what's going on in their lives. And the essays are really great. People talk about how they've learned stuff and have really progressed. Those are the things that I really enjoy about the court and the programs. But, you know, this is life. Things happen. One of the things that I took a class on, and if you don't know about it, you should, people overdose. There's this thing, it's called Narcan. It's a spray that you put in people's noses. We were taught how to use the Narcan. I keep some Narcan on the bench, not that anybody would overdose in the courtroom because that would make me crazy, but Narcan is a spray that is used when people have an opioid overdose. And you can get the Narcan for free in a lot of places. It's pretty easy to use. It's a spray nozzle that you put in their nose. Now, with these people who are using fentanyl and drugs that are laced with fentanyl, sometimes just one little Narcan won't work. Sometimes they have to use a couple of things. In the drug court program, I've heard people who have overdosed. I don't even want to say how many times, but they've overdosed more than once. And I mean, I'm thankful that they're alive, but they have overdosed several times before they become sober. In the drug court program, Again, we have the fishbowl, we give people incentives. We also give sanctions if people, in all three programs, we give sanctions if they have used or whatever and they admit. So, for example, so-and-so has a problem and used marijuana, we will test him until his level of marijuana goes down, and maybe make him write an essay about, you know, the use of marijuana and how it's prohibited, and or an essay on sometimes people don't go to their classes. They're supposed to go to their classes, and we'll make them do an essay on time management. We'll make them do an essay on what they need to change in their lives. It just depends. We will also give them progressive sanctions. So if you start off with an essay, then the next thing might be some community service hours, or the next thing might be a sheriff's work day. I don't know if your community has it, but the sheriff will allow people to work for them, and they go early in the morning and they work in the sun, the wind, the rain. They pick up trash or clean cars or whatever the sheriff asks them to do. And the day of labor for the sheriff really, they hate that. So sometimes we'll give them that one. We really try not to put them in jail as a sanction, but sometimes we do have to put them in jail for a couple days and let them out. And the people understand that they're going to get a sanction. Usually I don't really have contested hearings. Usually the public defender will explain, and they admit, you know, what happened, and they take the sanction, they come back out. You know, the thing is for them to stay in the program, to stay on the track, to maintain sobriety, to change their lives, to really make it through the program. And unless they really do something bad, like a new charge, sometimes they'll do something stupid. Like we had one guy who drove a car without a license, and that crime is not as severe as others, and he was able to fix it, get his license or whatever. So that case got dropped, but it was still a crime. We kept him in the court program, but I had another guy who was involved in something more serious, and those people, they usually take a plea to a violation of probation, because it is a violation of probation if they get caught with a new crime. And I usually I just took a plea today for somebody. I sent him to 28 months, Department of Corrections. He had a new charge, and there's nothing we could do. We couldn't bring that new charge into this court. So they resolve their cases sometimes based upon something that happens, but we really try to keep them here as long as we can, and to make them clean and sober. These programs, all of them say at first it's super difficult because they have to keep a schedule. They have to, you know, nobody told them before to do this, do that, do this, because we have to have this court program. All three programs are about urine testing. So if you don't want to hear about urine, don't get involved in this. They have to go to have urine samples done regularly, and they pick the program. The testing program will give them a color. So your color is blue, and when you call every day, and if the color blue is called, you have to go, because it's random. You have to go give a sample. And if their sample is, if they don't provide the sample timely, that's a violation, and we have to, you know, talk to them about it, what happened, whatever, they missed their day or whatever. So a lot of times I'm talking to people about, you know, changing their phone and putting alarms on their phone and making sure that they can make the schedule to call every day to the phone number to make sure their color is or is not called that day, and to take their sample. It's a lot of babysitting, but it is all worth it, because when they're clean and sober and make it through the program, it's really a great thing. And you say to yourself, why are you doing it? Why do we have these programs? Well, we have these programs because they save money. The county saves money. For to incarcerate people, it's about I don't know how much it is a day, but it's a lot more money than you'd want to spend to incarcerate people. So you're keeping them out, you're keeping them clean and sober, and at least some of them are here for, you try to keep the program, it depends on what they're doing. but anywhere from 12 to 24 months they're involved with me, and they don't get in trouble for those 12 to 24 months. So you're keeping people off the streets. You're not having crimes from them. It's a good program. It saves the county money. It saves the community. All these programs do save money. They are difficult, and it's hard for people to understand, but we have data showing that the people are doing well, and that these programs make a difference in the community. I think I have a statistics I could read you. Let's see. Yeah, here's a statistic. Why do we need treatment courts? There's 3,316 treatment courts currently in operation, 75% drug courts. They save 27 for every dollar invested, $27 for every dollar invested. Currently, 140,000 Americans are being served by drug courts. Drug courts are the most successful criminal justice intervention programs. Courts reduce recidivism by 45%. 75% of drug court graduates remain drug-free, arrest-free, compared to 30% of those who are released from prisons. So, and they talk about the savings. So, you think to yourself, well, these people are using drugs. Why can't they just quit? Well, they can't quit because these drugs capture their brains. They do some changes to their cells, and there's a whole lot of science in there, but addiction hijacks the brain. These chemicals are powerful, and when they use the drugs, the reward system is greater. I've seen some lessons. We go to programs, national programs, and I remember that the speaker said something about, let's say if your reward system in your brain for sex is 10%, the reward system for some of these drugs is like in the hundreds. So, it's an intense, strong desire to use. And so people become hooked, and it's very hard for them to quit this without us. And so a lot of our programs, this is something that I didn't talk about, but a lot of our programs use medications. It's called medically assisted treatment. At first they didn't agree for those things, but now medically assisted treatment is being used. Some of the medically assisted treatment is a drug called buprenorphine. Let me see, I have a list here. The medically assisted treatment helps to block the cravings, there's some of them are methadone, buprenorphine, and Vivitrol. Vivitrol really is one of the ones they use for a lot of alcohol use, but it can be used for opiates and alcohol. These medically assisted treatments really help people get through the program, and it helps the change in the brain to not have so many cravings. See, I talked about medically assisted treatment. I'll talk to you about some of the other treatments that we have, our therapies. We have cognitive behavioral therapy. We try to create new thought patterns, thinking for a change. We combat their negative thinking and their negative behavior, harmful behavior. We also have relapse prevention therapy. We identify their triggers. We help them avoid the relapse. And then again, the peer support groups that I was telling you about, all the 12-step programs and the community-based programs. So we really do try to help them in so many ways. These programs are fabulous. They're not easy. The drugs, the judges who handle these kinds of courts, they have to be special to take on these courts. There are so many ups and downs and so many things that go right and go wrong. I wish you were here to ask me questions because I know you have a lot of questions and I'd love to answer your questions. I would just tell you that there's a lot of bad drugs out there, and I worry about your children who are getting involved or older and whatever, and maybe they made some stupid decision, and you see it all the time on the news that they made a decision in their lives end because they got some kind of fentanyl involved in their system. I'm going to tell you that the fentanyl use is increasing. It's terrible. They put fentanyl in everything. It makes me crazy. And these pills that they're making they look like other pills. It's very hard to tell what a pill is real or not real. And fentanyl can kill people and has killed people. You may know somebody who's been killed by fentanyl. And I would just tell you that we really need to do everything we can. I also know that there's a new type of methamphetamine, P2P, which is super strong and making people who use it have strokes and have severe disabilities that last forever. So there are just so many bad drugs out there. We need these programs to keep people from using them, and people who make the bad choices to help them get through it. So I really enjoyed talking to you. I hope that you look favorably upon these courts. If you have any questions, you're free to contact me. And it's been a pleasure. Have a great day.